Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Yarns with Andy. Today I've got Gary Moore, the Associate Director of Blueprint Hydraulics.
Yep, Blueprint Hydraulics.
Yeah, mate. Thank you so much for making the time to be here with
No
me today.
worries.
Appreciate it.
Thanks for inviting me on.
Yeah, cool. Tell us a little bit more about yourself. What do you do?
So I'm a qualified plumber by trade, and then I've recently last year joined Blueprint Hydraulics. So, basically I'll call myself a plumber probably until the day I die. But I'm a plumber who's having a crack at design consulting now, and just trying to change it up a little bit and do something a bit different.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice. That sounds like you're quite passionate about being a plumber.
Yeah, it's something that when I finished school I got into through like a close family member who had a business back in Australia, and he's like, you finish high school, you want a job, I'll give you a job, give you an apprenticeship. So I was like, all right, sweet.
Oh yeah, nice.
Didn't know what else to do, so I took it on, and then 20 years later, last year was 20 years, so it'll be 21 years this year if I had stuck with plumbing, but still involved in plumbing design, so it's not too much of a departure from what I've been doing, but just evolving, I guess.
So Gary, considering New Zealand's push into the digital space, how do you see digital technology, 3D modeling, LOD levels in the 3D modeling evolving?
Yeah, so great question. That was actually what led me to make the career change last year into what I'm doing, because I'm seeing as that's where it's been going that way for quite a while.
Yep.
Just probably a lot slower than probably a lot of people would like.
I mean, we're so slow in New Zealand now.
not just New Zealand, I think in general, but definitely here the market is a bit slower to react to these sort of things, these changes.
Digital uptake,
yeah. There's just there's a wealth of information you can draw out of those models that isn't being utilised properly. So, but it is getting better. The job I was doing previous to this, I was project managing, and it was the first one I did. It was it was fully modelled, but it wasn't It was only to LOD 300. So there's obviously.
So can you define for everybody who's listening
what
LOD 300 means?
And this is still something that everybody's learning. I think there is a BIM handbook that you can read that will give you from LOD 200 up to 500. They generally go 200, 300, 350, 400, 450, 500. 300 is generally like what you would consider enough for consent at this stage.
Right. So the level of detail
will be in that model, enough in the model to show you that it'll work in the space that's there, but not coordinated as such. Some people may disagree with that, but that's how we see it. LO 300 is enough to show you what's there in that space, and it should work. It should be buildable, and then you work it out on site when you're building it. So, so where we see it going is it's going to be a bit more advanced. We're seeing a lot more of LOD 350, which is more coordinated.
So from 300 to 350, what's the change?
That's when you're looking at more detail of like valves and making sure it doesn't just work in the space. It can be coordinated with other services, and you've got clearances and the like. It still has some room for error, but the level of detail is improving. You can do shop drawings out of that. And then when you go up to the next
levels, from 350 you can actually get your shop drawings done.
Yeah, you can. Yep. Okay. Yeah, generally that's what we end up doing. So a little bit more work, a little bit more detail, but you can do some good work out of it. So
and then the jump from there to 500.
So 500 is when it's fully detailed. And it needs to be
every nut, bolt,
screw, bracket, hanger, seismic, like the whole shebang. And that you'll also have facilities management data added into that as well. So the equipment will be labelled correctly of what's actually going to be installed. You can pull information out of that will tell you when it needs to be serviced or when it was installed or who it was installed by. Like it's a full-fledged information model that you can utilise after the project's done.
Where I find challenges with 3D models is I use 3D models quite a lot for putting tender programs together and for articulating the methodology. You using 4D, right? You simulate the build sequence. And the challenges I find with a tender package is that all these models, the coding in it is completely different. Like the metadata coding within it. There's no standardization at all.
That's
why is that?
Well, it's a combination of I'm still pretty new to the game, so I'm still trying to wrap my head around as well, but it's a combination of people just not fully grasping what they are signing up for sometimes.
Yeah.
Or what information they should be putting in there or not. So then that's where we think there's a bit of a disconnect. So it's coming together slowly. Like I think services trades are doing quite well with it.
Yeah.
Main contractors are starting to see the value in it, but we still get a lot of pushback on the value of the model as such.
Yeah, it's quite challenging, eh? It's like every time I pull up that model and I'm going, dude, look at all of this data. There's a shit ton of data in there.
There's a lot. Yeah.
But I'm going, how is it useful? Like, what portion of it is useful? All I want to do is I want to isolate level 1. Right? I try and isolate level 1, then I see one steel column hanging in the middle of nowhere. Have you come across that?
Yeah. I just came across something today where there was a random box, a planer box hanging over a table internally. I was like, what's going on there?
Yeah, exactly, right?
Somebody be fucking there.
yeah, mate. I reckon we need standardization.
Yeah.
Some sort of... from what I know, there are predefined standardizations, Uniclass being one of them.
Yep. Yeah, there is... I mean, there's the BIM handbook that gives you a standardization of what those LED levels should look like.
Yeah. And the data that each element should be coded with.
Correct, yeah. But it's a little bit open to interpretation. Like some bigger consultancy firms might see those levels as meaning something different to what we see as someone who's a bit smaller, like a smaller firm. So that's where there's still that kind of grey area of making sure people understand what those LED levels and what they're actually meant to be providing or not.
No, it's really cool. It's quite interesting insights into LODs.
Yeah. That's just a basic overview. But yeah,
Gary, with the focus on like cost and bringing down your cost of tendering, what benefits do you see going from LOD 300 to LOD 500? Because every construction company out there wants to keep their cost of tendering low. That's an overhead.
Yeah, of course. So LOD 300 and 500 is probably a harder one at the moment to really weigh up that cost benefit for them, because there is such a gap. Even just going from 300 to 350, some people aren't seeing the benefit out of that. So 500 is definitely, it's at the back end, and we're not going to get that information. Like, we do a lot of work for the contractors in the design and build space. They don't generally like to divulge that information of if it worked before them or made their life better or not. Like, we're finding it hard to pull that information out at the moment, but like, it's something that it'll turn at some point, and we believe. But I think the proof should be in the pudding, right? Like, if you can build something more efficiently and better, maybe less labour or whatever it is, there's got to be a reason behind that, and it's because you've got a good model or a good set of drawings which generally come out of that model. So you should be able to essentially build faster, build better with maybe less labour. So,
I mean, that's as long as there's enough uptake and people actually understand what they're looking at.
Yeah, exactly. That's the gap that we're trying to bridge at the moment, and it's not just me in the last 7 months, 8 months. It's people for the last 8 years plus. Like,
I mean, it's been going on forever now.
Yeah, my managing director's been doing it for quite a while. He's been banging on it for a while, for 8+ years, and still fighting that fight. But slowly people are getting the gist of it and starting to see, even me personally, going from the contractor space, plumbing on site, project managing, and working with pretty much a fully coordinated model, and then trying to show that to the guys on site. It was great. Like, it was a great tool. Yeah. It was a tool that I used as a project manager to explain the job better.
Yeah, I mean, visually seeing it adds crazy benefits, doesn't it?
Grab the boys, give them a walkthrough.
Come back to the original question, right? So if it would cost me $100 to produce an LOD 300 model, how much would it cost me to build an LOD 500 model? Estimate it.
Yeah, look,
number.
Look, probably to go up to 500.
Yep, from 300 to 500.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to understand the quantum jump.
Yeah, I did have a think about this question myself, to be honest. Just, it's hard. It is like, it's a time thing, right? So like any construction business, whatever, that comes down to how many hours you think it's going to take. But look, percentage-wise, it could be another cost of between 25 and say 35 or 40% more to the cost. But the information you could pull out of that, if you know how to pull the right information out, could pay itself off if you use the data right.
And if you're going to utilize that data. Because I'll tell you with certainty that most of the construction companies out there are not utilizing the information.
We know they're not.
Efficiently and effectively.
Yeah. We even know the contractors, like you could get full takeoffs done out of the models
I mean,
if you wanted to.
I kind of do that
products.
now. So I'm with Aster Power Projects is one of the tools that I use.
Yep.
To write programs, because my model information and my program is all in the same platform, and I can run 40 sims off it.
Yeah.
So the first thing I do is I get a 3D model, if it's LOD 300, 500, whatever. Push a button, literally does an entire takeoff for me of every single element in the model.
Yeah.
And just spits it out.
Yeah.
So that way, and then I can group that information per level, if the metadata coding in the model is right.
Yeah, then that's the key, right?
100% comes back to how you manage your data and where the standardization comes into play.
Yeah.
Because there's no standardization across designer X design, puts in bits of information in there, and then I get another international designer who goes, their models are like 3 gigabyte. There's a shit ton of information, but half of it's fucking useless.
Yeah, I know.
Like, what's going on here, guys?
I think you're 100% right. A good standardization would help streamline that a lot, which would be great. And then I think just some good case studies would be really good on the cost benefit analysis.
Yeah.
I think here would be hard to try and get that information out because it still relatively fresh and new, I guess, in some ways. Like it's been around for a long time, but it's not. But the understanding of it's still developing, So
we've got faster computers today.
Yeah, exactly.
You got faster processing power.
Should be no brainer, really.
We live on the edge of abundance. Yeah. There's AI in play. So, you've got all these tools available to you.
Yeah.
How do you then utilize that data to then build smarter, faster, better?
Yeah,
right?
and that is the challenge that we face, and that's what got me excited about changing these careers, to be honest, because I think there's an opportunity to really try and change.
What are you doing to change the mindset in the industry?
Well,
personally,
me personally, just trying to push our case for why we think these, like doing a good model, is beneficial to everyone, to the contractor, to the builder, to the client. Like really try and get everybody on that same page that a good model will be really useful for the project. Like it should take out a lot of the questions that you come up against when you end up building it. So
that's again cost benefit, right?
Benefit.
Are you going to invest all that money up in tendering?
Yeah, exactly.
And if nobody's going to use
but they're doing it. But people are doing it anyway. Like the contractors and clients are paying for it anyway.
Yeah.
And they're not getting a good result, and then they're not getting a good build result either because they're not doing it properly. So they actually are spending quite a lot of money up front for this stuff and not understanding what they're paying for and not getting a good result out of it. And then we come in on the contractor side and end up having to try to fix up or whatever, or try and give them a better model or better set of drawings out of it. And they end up paying more for it anyway. So, which that's fine. It gives me a job, right? But
round and round in circles we go, eh?
Round and round in circles we go. But and so we'll come back to education. So it's just so I think
upskilling.
What I want to try and do to change is try to educate as many people as we can. Within the industry that we're already working in. Site guys is the key at the moment. Like trying to educate those the hard workers that rock up to work and just want to throw a shovel in the ground or chuck some formwork up or whatever, getting them to understand how it can benefit them, because they think it doesn't benefit them, but it could.
But think about it from a site perspective. The only thing that makes you money is the quicker you put up steel or pour concrete.
100%.
Yeah. Nothing else makes you money.
The only way to save money is, or to make good money is to save on labour, right?
Yeah, 100%.
That's where the good margins are. If you can save on labour and do it faster, then you're going to make some money.
But digital technology has a big part to play in all of this.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, let's keep a close eye on that space.
So we'll just keep fighting the fight, mate.
Yeah, that's it. That's all. So Gary, you worked on multiple different construction projects, right?
Yep. Yeah.
Have you come across where a team works on project A, moves on to project B?
Yep.
All the mistakes that are made, all the lessons learned, do not get carried forward into other projects. Have you seen that happen in the industry?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, it happens. Like it happens quite a lot, obviously. I came from the Melbourne market originally, like construction in Melbourne, and I worked for a big company in Melbourne, a big plumbing company, and we were probably pushing at the forefront to try and track those lessons learned and really trying to learn from those mistakes. And I think we did okay. There was always room for improvement on anything like that.
Yeah.
But and the hardest part was trying to because lessons learned is basically talking about mistakes, right?
Yeah.
And one thing in construction people hate talking about is mistakes when they fuck up. I always used to say it's not a fuck up until you bury it, or until you can't fix it.
Yep.
So people don't want to admit to mistakes. They want to try and find a way to sweep it under the carpet, which is fine because, you know, you don't want to look like you don't know what you're doing or whatever. But it also is an opportunity. You're missing an opportunity to try and learn from it. So I think like a lessons learned register is something that people definitely do. I know that.
But registers are registers, right?
Registers are register.
Who reads registers?
It's what you take from that register.
You create a lessons learned register. I'm not going to read it.
No.
I'll be brutally fucking honest. I'm like, yeah, okay,
exactly.
Cool. But how do we then get that message, you know, from one project and carry forward those learnings to the next project? Within a company, within your company, how would you do it?
Yeah, well, so with the new company I'm in now, obviously it's something that I want to try and implement. But in the old company, it was a register, unfortunately. It needs to be, and that's something you would do at the end of a project. You do a review, you work out what went well. Obviously, you want to focus on the good things just as much as the bad things, but you'll need to know what went wrong because maybe you made money anyway, but maybe you could have made more. So all those mistakes that you made, imagine if you only didn't make half of those or 25% of those less. That could be 25% extra back in your back pocket, you know? So,
absolutely. Yeah.
So it's an invaluable thing to know. So I think the key would be to review that at the end, and then it needs to carry over to the.
That's the key part we're missing, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's how do you carry that forward?
Yeah. It needs to form part of your pre-construction or pre-start. It could be a dot point thing. If it's a similar project, then there should be some like major items that maybe were a big learning curve from the last one that needs to be top of the pile for that project commencement, you know. That's like, hey, let's just revisit that register and say, hang on, what have we done here? Oh, we're going to have a similar issue coming up. All right, what are we going to do different this time, you know? That's the gap at the moment. Like some people do those reviews at the end, great. No one gets the information, whole new team on the next project that's similar, but it might be a completely different team or whatever, and they don't get fed that information. So
right.
That's
your experience in Australia,
yeah,
it's the same thing happens there.
I think from when I started running jobs, I think we definitely tried to. I know me personally, you do learn from your mistakes anyway, just as a personal learning, and you get to the next job and you think, oh, hang on, that was a massive fuck up last time. I'm going to catch it this time.
Absolutely.
So then you do that
then,
anyway. If you're a good site manager or project manager, you should be doing that on a personal basis. But as a company, you really want to try and drive it. So I think the old company I worked for, we did try to do that. Like we did try to share, like it was a big push on trying to information share around the whole business. The issues that you would have, don't keep it to yourself, let it out. Like if it's a massive issue, let everybody know, explain what happened, put a memorandum or notice or whatever out to explain it and just give a brief, you know, overview of it, and then at least people can take it or not from that, but at least you're putting the information out there and you're trying to educate. And it always comes back to education, doesn't it? You know, you're trying to push that information out, and hopefully someone smart enough will read it who's going to be looking at the next job and looking at that next mistake, and they'll learn from it and avoid the same pitfall. So
maybe AI has a part to play in all of this somewhere.
Maybe AI is
everywhere. Never know. We'll get there.
Yeah, I think so. So yeah, I think that's the key. It's just trying to the guys at the top need to be pushing that to their guys below them, and really focus on it, because it could be a winner for the company if you can really reduce those issues. And collect a centralized database where you can actually pull from. And just try and get that blame culture out of there a little bit as well, you know. Like if someone makes a mistake, all right, sweet, it's cost us some money, but don't drag them through the ringer for it. Like educate them on it.
Absolutely.
And then the next time, hopefully they won't make the same mistake. So yeah, that's what I think. That's my take on it.
Gary, you've gone from being a plumber.
Yep.
Most of your life.
Yeah.
And now you've stepped into the design world.
Yeah. Yep. Yes. So,
talk us through exactly how that's being a plumber actually really helped you evolve into being a good designer.
Yeah, well, look, I don't know if I'll call myself a good designer yet. It's
a
work in progress.
Working on being a good designer?
I hope one day I can be a great designer. But no, I think obviously plumbing, 20 years, just over 20 years. And then the last couple of years of my plumbing journey, I got to work on a project. So I'll go back a bit. So we worked to about 2021, had some work, and then plumbing work here in New Zealand. And that's kind of dried up with COVID and everything like that. And then, so I had to find something to fill a gap. Yep. So I jumped into a design consultancy firm. here in Auckland, and just to kill some time. They just took me on as a subby basically, and they gave me, it was really good. They gave me a really good crash course on how to do some design. They gave me a couple of small basic designs to have a crack at. Got to do a bit of modelling. Got to do some inspections around Auckland and check out some other jobs, and it was great. Like I enjoyed it. For starters, it was a good filler, and then we ended up picking up a job, and then I ended up going back into the plumbing side and working with them on the design. So I got to actually work on a design from the start, right at the beginning of the job, which I hadn't done before.
Yeah, right.
Closely with the director at the time of the company, and enjoyed that process. And so I was doing that process right up until we struck a blow on site in the ground. So I had basically built the whole place in my head, or not in my head, but in the modelling sense already.
Yeah.
And now I was physically getting out on site with a small crew of guys to start trying to put it all together. So I enjoyed that process, to be honest. Like that process was good fun.
From paper to spade in the ground.
Correct. Yeah, so it was from getting like a job with a developed design, having a look at it, seeing what we can change, what we can do better, what will work differently, how we can streamline
it. 11 kV line.
Yeah, exactly. Just a few different things. So that process was good, and then got into the building of it, which was good fun. So it obviously got the mind ticking over a little bit, and then just a few conversations with my current director, who I've been mates with for quite a while anyway. He planted the seed and just like, what do you think? So I kind of just went from there. I was probably a hard no for a while, and we caught up, and he showed me some of the stuff they were doing, which was where I could see the industry going anyway, even if I stayed as a contractor, a plumbing contractor or a plumbing project manager. I was utilising the data or the information from that model to do the project management for the plumbing,
right? And
finding it so much better to do. And I was like, this is
rather than multiple 2D.
Yeah, like trying to explain it to the boys previously was a lot harder, and you would have a lot of guys go rogue, and then you're constantly doing reworks, and then you're losing money. And I was finding I wasn't having that battle, so I was like, this has got to be the way to go. I've been getting told this for a while, and now I'm finally getting to do a big project with it. And then an opportunity just came up to have a crack at being a design consultant. And I don't know, I think the timing was right. I'm getting old, Andy. I'm not getting any younger.
Look at you, man.
I'm still in my 30s, but not for too much longer. So, yes, I thought if I don't make this, have a crack at something different now, then...
it'll never happen.
Yeah, maybe it'll never happen. So I thought, it's either now or never. So... Yeah, and I've been enjoying it. I enjoy that design side. Like, you need to know the code, you need to know how to design principles, which I had a bit of a handle on. I've always touched on code as a project manager or a site manager. You need to know that stuff.
That's what you miss as a plumber, don't you? It's like that'll be a steep learning curve when you stepped into the design.
Yeah. When you're just a plumber on the tools, you probably don't, like, you learn it in school and all that sort of shit, but you don't really.
You don't really care about it because you've already got a design.
Yeah, exactly. As long as you're following it, it's fine, But when I was doing the project managing, I've always done a lot of design and builds when I've been site managing, project managing. So you do still need to know a bit of that code stuff, because if you don't, you could sometimes the drawings might not be right. You need to make sure that it is correct or whatever. So I've always enjoyed that side of plumbing anyway, and now I'm just basically doing the same thing but on the design side. So. It felt like a pretty natural progression, especially doing that big project before I decided to make the transition. It felt not too foreign to make that switch, and doing 6 months in a design consultancy firm before that was invaluable as well, which at the time I didn't think it. I thought it was just a gap filler. Yeah. It was a bit of fun, I was actually way less stressful than being on site. So, I don't know, it just evolved naturally, to be honest. I never thought that would be the case, because I was with my previous company for 18 years. So
18 years.
18 years I'd been with the company.
Holy
so
shit,
it was a big call. And they were great to me, to be honest. Like, it was I wouldn't have got to where I was without them. So you don't spend 18 years somewhere you don't like.
So if somebody else now is looking to switch from an on-site position into a design role, what advice would you give them? From your journey. Take learnings from your journey.
Well, you got to have a little bit of passion about plumbing if you want to do it. Like
plumbing, but it could be anything, right?
Could be plumbing, could be electrical, could be mechanical.
Could be a chippy, and you want to.
Could be a chippy, you want to. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it could be. maybe you just got to have a good eye for design, a good practical eye. Like, that was the other selling point for me to jump over. We're all ex-plumbers within our firm.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So we like to think, nothing against guys who go to uni and get their engineering degrees, and they're probably way smarter than what I am, yourself included. But we've got practical install knowledge of how it should look, which we think that gives us a slight, maybe not an advantage, but definitely a different point of view to engineers who haven't been onto a site. So if you think you know how to put something together really well construction-wise, but you don't want to get your hands dirty anymore, then that could be a path. Like we think I think it's a path. I'm having a crack at it. Yeah. All the guys in our office thought the same thing. The other firm that I worked for 6 months, same philosophy. Try and get those ex-plumbers who maybe they're not good at plumbing, but they understand it well, or maybe they just don't want to be up and down ladders all the time. So it's just it's just the way it's going with the modelling. You're just going from doing plumbing with your hands, getting dirty, stinking like glue and and all that, to just sitting at a computer and doing it same, but in a 3D world. So
that may not be for everybody, but
exactly. It may not be. Some people like to get outside on site, get their hands dirty. Some people like to sit in an office and do modelling, I guess. Yeah. I'm still in between because as being associate director, I'm not the whole time sitting in the office. I've got to get out and chat with clients and things like that. But
I'll come and record podcasts.
I'll come do this. But I thought, especially if you're getting older, and it can be a good one if you've got a good head for design and a good understanding of code requirements and building codes and all that and all those sort of things. And no, they don't bore you. If those things bore you to tears, then maybe design might not be for you. But maybe the modelling is, because the modelling, you can be just a modeler if you want. Yeah. So so that's what I think. Yeah, cool. Could be for someone. Yeah. Yeah,
and it's all about what you're passionate about, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you get at the front end of the construction where you feel like you can maybe enact a bit of change in how the place is going to be built. Yeah. When you're a contractor, you're already been told what you have to build, so you kind of don't get as much freedom. When you're on the design side, or design and build side, if you are, or if you're a consultant that's at develop design, you're getting a say in how it actually happens, or what systems work well, or what.
Get your creative thinking hat on.
Yeah, exactly. And you want to try and stay at the forefront of what works better, what works well. Heating and cooling is always changing and developing over time. Building methodologies are changing. There's always new products coming on. So if you enjoy that sort of side of things and trying to keep up with the latest trends, then it could be worthwhile having a crack at.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
I hope somebody takes some lessons from that, eh? That's cool.
Yeah, give me a call.
I'll give him a call.
I'll have a chat. I'll chew anyone's ear off about it. Yeah, well, I'll throw the question back to you, Andy. How did you evolve from where you went from being involved on a construction team, still obviously involved in that way, but got your own thing going on now and getting in that early tender process?
So it's a bit of a journey, eh? So I've been at Fletcher's for a while, 4 years. Worked on Auckland International Airport, Commercial Bay, Pika to Otaki, a couple of other projects which I was involved in. Yep. I was a divisional planning manager, which means I've moved from being on site to writing systems and processes. And for all of the 5 companies, which is Brian Perry Higgins. Yep. BNI Infrastructure and Southpack. Okay. Yeah. So it's an interesting job. Yeah. Very interesting. And what
was it that you loved about it that made you say, I think I can do this?
In planning?
Yeah.
Oh, that goes way back, man. I didn't even want to be a planner.
Fell into it, or?
What happened was my dream was being a race engineer. So I spent my entire 4 years working towards being a race engineer in Formula One. But what happened was the GFC happened when I graduated, 2008. Right. Okay. And I was living in Dubai, and there was only so long I could live on mum and dad's money. Yeah, yeah. The bank mum and dad was, it was okay. I mean, they'll give me more money faster, but you're an engineer now. It's time to sort your shit out. You're in a foreign country, the fear kicks on. Yeah. And I went and just campus interviewed, which means the companies come to hire you from university. Mm-hmm. And they came in, and I went for one of these interviews with an oil and gas company. Okay. And they put you sees a test, right? Aptitude tests. Yeah. And, written analytical tests and group interviews, one-on-one interviews. So I seem to have just ticked along and made it to the one-on-one interview stage. Yeah. And the manager there turned around and said, "Would you want to come on as our planner?" I turned around and said, mate, I don't know what that is. Like, I did a course on MS Project in my degree, but I don't know what that is. And he said, yeah, we'll give you the training. That's not a problem. And then I asked him why me. He turned around and told me, you have analytical skill and social skill, which we don't find combined in a lot of engineers.
Okay.
And you make the perfect project control professionals.
Interesting. Yeah.
And I said, I need the money. I'll take the job. But what I realized was, me being a race engineer to me being in project controls is not very different.
Yeah, right.
Is very similar. So managing mass amounts of data and making decisions in milliseconds on a racetrack versus managing mass amounts of construction data and managing change over
Kind
days.
of works same. Yeah.
It's the same concept.
Yeah, okay. So it wasn't too big of a leap from what you were doing anyway.
Not really, but it's not how I thought about it to start with.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's pretty much how I got into planning.
Okay.
And then since then, I just figured it just comes naturally to me.
Yeah, that's good.
Like reading a program, analyzing a program, interrogating a program.
Yeah. I could definitely learn a few things from you then.
Oh, mate.
Analysing a program.
I run an amazing training course.
I might have to lean on you on that one.
I mean, I run an amazing training course. You just let me know. I'll come to the office and give you guys I won't teach you how to draw lines on a piece of paper.
Uh-huh.
I'd teach you why you should and the consequences if you do not.
Yeah, right.
I've always found that's more valuable than actually teaching you how to draw lines on a piece of paper. Anybody can do that. You know what I mean?
It'd be good to learn how to pick the right bit of information out of those programs.
Yeah, mate.
Some people don't understand those ones sometimes.
Yeah. So that's my little backstory of how I kind of got into planning.
Okay.
And since then I've now during COVID I quit my job and set up strategic planning and been going for about 2.5 years now.
Awesome. That's
good. 2.5 years. I've worked with 38 different companies in 2.5 years now.
Wow.
That's crazy, right?
That's good, yeah.
It's crazy, yeah.
That is good. That's really good.
Been a really cool journey, yeah.
Yeah, I like it.
Gary, moving from Melbourne to New Zealand.
Yeah.
So you're clearly a big sports fan and you watch a lot of sport and that's what you do in your downtime.
Yeah. Yes.
How have you adopted from the sports life there to the sports life in New Zealand, which is not a lot happening here?
Yes, it's that's probably the main thing I would miss, I reckon, from living in Australia to coming here.
Really?
Is Melbourne's pretty sports mad.
You don't miss seeing the snakes there, the lizards?
I love the snakes, mate. That's great. It's what makes us tougher. Snakes are great. You just stay out of the way. That's all you got to do with them. Just let them go. Let them slide on past.
Yeah.
No worries. Yeah. I grew up in the bush, so I used to see them all the time. They're all good.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they're great.
You know, my biggest fear is snakes, man.
That's all right. I've never been bitten by one, so I survived. It's all good. So you're coming from Melbourne, sports mad, capital of Australia, we think.
Yeah.
There's always something going on in Melbourne. You got AFL, obviously, which is huge.
Yep.
You get Formula One, you got Australian Open, you got Spring Carnival racing. They get major events there, UFC sometimes, all that sort of jazz. So, coming from that, even Big Bash. The Big Bash is good fun over summer.
Oh yeah, BBL.
Yeah. You don't really get to see it over here. So that's my biggest gripe of coming here. My mates always give me stick about this because they're like, just don't be a tight ass and get Sky Sports. And I'm like, yeah, but it's pretty ordinary, to be honest. You pay a fortune for it and you get all that.
Wait, hang on. You don't have Sky Sports?
Nah, because I got it and it just used to annoy me. I was like, I'd rather not.
Yeah.
So in Australia, they got Foxtel, obviously, which is basically the same thing. But they also show a lot of those major events on free-to-air as well. Sometimes both. Either have it on Foxtel or free-to-air. And my mates always give me shit. They're going, why do you want it all on free-to-air? Yeah. I was like, yeah, but it gets it out to the masses, especially those major events. Australian Opens and things like that. So it still buzzes me out that New Zealand doesn't show those major events free. Like, you got to pay for them in some way.
Through Sky Sports.
Yeah, through Sky Sports. Like, that's what annoys me about it. It's almost like, oh, man, like I would pay for it if it was something alternative on there that I really, really wanted or whatever, but not just to watch everything. So that's been probably the biggest adjustment. Like when I used to pay for it, I just felt like I wasn't getting value for it. Plus, my missus would kill me if I watched Sky Sports all the time. So it was always a hard sell of like, I want Sky Sports for the sport.
How does that matter? Any sport that actually means anything airs in the middle of the night.
Yeah, I know. That's true.
So you're living in New Zealand, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Any sport, man. IPL?
Yeah,
I've got to stay up awake at 3 a.m. to watch again. It's stupid o'clock.
That's hard work, isn't it?
Any Formula One race.
Yeah.
Right?
This is Melbourne.
Except Melbourne. I think there are only three races that I can watch at reasonable
What about the
time.
US one? The US one.
US one, that's Mexico, I think.
Yeah. Vegas this year.
But Vegas should be fine. It's 8 o'clock. Japan.
Yeah.
I can watch Japan at a reasonable time.
Mm-hmm.
And what's the other one? Melbourne.
Yeah.
So apart from that, all the European races, stupid o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning.
So you got to pay for that, right? Put the Formula One stuff on fucking free to air, and let people want to stay and watch it. They don't have to pay for the privilege. That's what spins me out. I actually heard someone on the radio the other day. What's the New Zealand Big Bash thing they call here? What's it called? Super Smash or something.
Super Smash. Super Smash. That's right.
So that actually was shown just on local TV, I think. I didn't watch it, to be honest, but that was shown on local TV, and then they were getting good crowd attendances. They were getting people right into it. The test matches that are coming up with Australia and New Zealand, I think next week, maybe.
Australia, New Zealand. Is it a test of one day at Eden Park? Isn't it?
There's a 2020 Eden Park next week.
Yep.
Then I think there's a test the week after, maybe down in Wellington. So, all those have been getting really good numbers through the gate. And the guys on the radio reckon it was just because they were showing some cricket on free to air. So loads of people who wouldn't normally pay for Sky Sports, because not everybody can afford Sky Sports. A lot of people who wouldn't normally watch that stuff are like, oh, what's this? And then started getting, this cricket stuff's pretty cool, eh?
Yeah.
And same with the rugby. I don't know why there's not more rugby. Like, you guys are rugby mad.
Yes.
And sometimes you wouldn't even know it's on.
Fair enough.
Spins me out. It's like, what the hell? Like, you guys love your rugby and you wouldn't even hardly know.
Yeah.
So, like in Melbourne, you can't, even if you don't watch it, you can't avoid it. Like, it's in your face, it's in the paper, it's on the news, it's on the morning programs, it's, they have weekend programs about different sports, football or rugby if you're up north or whatever, but there's always something going on, whereas here it just feels like, unless you got Sky Sports, you don't know much what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, we did have Spark Sports, and then Spark Sports got nothing on it now. So it's all Sky Sports now. Mate, at a point in time, I was paying for 2 subscriptions, eh?
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah, I was like,
madness.
What the fuck am I paying for 2 subscriptions?
Just so you can watch one other event or something.
Yeah, I mean, because I could watch Formula One on Spark, and I could watch my cricket on Sky. And then, thank God now, everything's on Sky. At least it's centralised.
Which is, mate, you've got the money, you go for it. Go nuts. So pay for whatever you want. But
mate, it's called mental peace as well. Just like you, I need
that's your time out,
Yeah, I'm like, time out.
I got a missus and 2 kids who would kill me if I watched that much sport, so I got to make a decision, either pay for it and have my own room somewhere else, or find something else to do.
Set up a man cave, mate.
I know. Trust me, it's in the works.
No, cool.
I need it. Because I do, and then maybe I will get Sky Sports if I've got my own space.
Yeah.
Because, I do. That's one thing I miss about Melbourne, is the sports,
So New Zealand's got to figure out how to get more free-to-air stuff on.
Yeah, I always joke around, maybe I should become the sports minister here for New Zealand and try and really push the case to, like, get sports promoted here. Like, New Zealand's pretty good sports-wise in general across wide ranges.
Yeah. Like, we have an amazing cricket team.
Yeah. It's all right.
Excuse me, what?
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah, we'll give. Sometimes they go well, don't they?
Hey, at least we don't tamper with the ball, all right?
Well, we're just trying to.
At least we don't do that.
Yeah.
Right? Oh, hang on. We don't bowl underarm balls either.
That was legal though. It's perfectly legal.
Fuck.
Come on, what's wrong with that?
We don't bowl underarm balls.
Some of the greatest footage I've ever seen in my life. That underarm. That was the best. The best was when he spits a dummy and throws the bat. That was the best bit, I reckon. The underarm bit was pretty funny, but the throw on the bat, that was even funnier. Yeah, that's good. I'll actually watch. I'd like to send that to my Kiwi mates when I get the opportunity.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's good. Especially when it's the anniversary.
I'll find some footage to send to you, man.
It was a good win. It was a good win by the Aussies.
Fucking hell. All right. Hey, anyways, man, it's been a really good yarn with you. Yeah. Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. Yeah, I appreciate it.
Appreciate you making the time, coming over here and sharing all your insights and your knowledge.
Yeah. Hopefully got something out of it, and
well,
share my knowledge and as much as I can, and hopefully I'm always learning and trying to expand it. So that's it. Keep on going with that.
Thanks, Gary.
No worries, mate.
Cheers,
Thanks,
mate.
Andy.